Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Smolinski, and I lead the user experience research team. And I'm happy to be here just to give a high-level overview around what will be covered during the upcoming group conversation on May 18th. The big piece of research that was conducted by Catherine was the system usability scale. So this past quarter, she ran research to really understand where we're at in terms of the system usability scale score. And this past quarter, we dropped more than we've ever dropped, actually, which was a minus 2.7 point from the previous quarter. So a big question that immediately comes up is why, what happened? When looking closely at the individual questions that the system usability scale is comprised of, there's actually 10. And also looking at some of the open verbatim that our respondents left, we're starting to see some clarity around the reason why. And it's related to learnability, to complexity, and also confidence in using GitLab. I encourage everybody to look at the link, the See Everything We Learned link. It takes you to an epic with many other links, including a fairly brief AMA between myself and Catherine, where we go into deeper detail around why the score is the way it is and some things to focus on to help drive some improvement there too. So I just want to draw some attention to that one. That is a very important one. Next, there were actually a couple strategic research projects, which is new for the team, new for the company actually. And the amazing Jackie Porter was on point for those two projects. She was a huge help and just really drove those for everyone. And it's this one around the Dakota persona. So another look into that one. And this is a very important one around cross-stage adoption as well. We're just scratching the surface on this. We have another KR for Q2 that is centered around cross-stage adoption. So we're investing more into looking into that and going deeper there. There were 3 projects this past time since the last group conversation around validating jobs to be done jobs. So the first one was around 2 new project management jobs. There's another project that was underway around validating and prioritizing code quality jobs. And lastly, identifying and validating top jobs to be done for boards also. So these 3 are all very important because we learn a lot more around our users, specifically in the context of those jobs. We understand what's most important to them, and it helps us prioritize the work that we have related around those jobs. There's an ongoing large project around metadata. So this is really helping us provide a bit more clarity around improving the view around the merge requests, the issue view, and the epic view in terms of some of the metadata that's being presented in those situations. And there's a new thing that I'd like to share, and this has to do with our research recruitment. So we are at a point now where we're going to start being a bit more open and transparent in letting people know a little bit about how we're recruiting in terms of what source, and also what kind of studies that are being conducted. And that's the type of research. So things like problem validation, solution validation, and also the total number of participants. We're able to accurately provide a number there now, and to give some insights around where some of our participants are from. So in looking at this, this past time frame since the last group conversation, possibly an outlier because we did a lot of high end surveys that had a lot of participants in them, things like the metadata projects, things like SUS. So this next time around, I'd expect these numbers to be somewhat lower, but when I see that we're conducting a lot of solution validation, which is excellent, we're using usertesting.com for that, and we're using the data warehouse quite heavily, which is excellent. We're all very grateful that we have that ability here. Without it, it would be very, very tough for us to conduct research at this kind of scale. So we will look to be refreshing slides like this every group conversation going forward. Lastly, I want to call out the KRs. So this past quarter, we had 3 KRs, and this one we landed at 83%. This was around establishing some solid usability metrics that can be utilized by teams, especially as they're working on SUS-related improvements. So with this one, we did collect the feedback, but it came in a little bit later. We did make some changes. So that is completed, but we didn't quite make the timeline. So we landed at 83 here. Next one was, this was one of those projects that Jackie was working on around cross-stage adoption. This was completed. And this one was something that I'm working, or I was working very closely with our research coordinator, Caitlin, on. And this is simply sharing out a lot of the great work, research related, that our product managers are doing, that our researchers are doing, that our designers are doing, and just making it known about what's going on. So we're trying to be more communicative around this, more transparent. We explored several ways to do this, and we landed on Slack, so sharing out specific little tidbits of information and with links to learn more. So we are releasing this information as we get it, and it feels like it's probably going to be a cadence of every 2 to 3 weeks. So those will be shared out going forward. So this is a new process for us. Looking ahead, we have a few KRs already slated for Q2. The first is this one that I'm very excited about. This is introducing a new method for teams to use. This is called the RITE method, or rapid iterative testing and evaluation. This is a very, very quick way to run things like a usability study where if resources are set aside for this, results can be gathered and the study completed in as short as 1 day. So we're going to be building out what that process is. The next is, if you recall, I talked about how we just scratched the surface with cross-stage adoption, and this is looking into this a little bit more deeper from a different angle. Jackie Porter will be driving this one. And lastly, with the recent attrition we've had on the user experience research team, we decided to make this a KR to actually hire 3 researchers within the quarter. We are already have 1 hired that starts, that actually started this week. So that is everything. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for taking time to watch this, and look forward to the group conversation.